That's neutral in flavor that you can see through, that's very light in color. Grape seeds, safflower, sunflower, peanut oil, those are all great for stir fries.
For 17 years, Rachael Ray was on your TV every single weekday. She was inescapable. 2,000 episodes, 37 Emmy nominations, a peak salary of $25 million a year. Then, in 2023, she walked away from all of it. No scandal, no public blow-up. She just left. And for a while, that seemed like the whole story. But it wasn't. What came after? The health scares, the viral videos, the grief, the silence, the rumors, and then the news that genuinely nobody saw coming turned out to be something much more complicated. Here is everything that has happened to Rachael Ray since the day she said goodbye. The video that had everyone asking if she was okay. The first sign that something might be off didn't come from a tabloid or an insider tip. It came from Rachael herself, posted directly to her own Instagram in September of 2024. She uploaded a clip from her FYI series, Rachael Ray in Tuscany, in which she paid tribute to her late friend Tony Bennett by cooking his favorite dish, ossobuco. A completely normal post for her, except fans watching the clip noticed something that stopped them mid-scroll. She was slurring her words. Not constantly, but enough that the comments section filled up fast. OMG, is she okay? What happened? I love her, but she's so hard to watch like this. I'm seriously concerned. One person went further and wrote that she looks and acts like she has been drinking all the time. Within hours, the video was being shared across Reddit threads and fan forums with people asking the same question. What is going on with Rachael Ray? Her team was asked directly. Their response to multiple outlets was 2 words: no comment. She didn't address it on social media either. Instead, she reposted another cooking clip from the same series a few days later, as if nothing had happened. That silence made things louder online, not quieter. Then came the podcast. On October 22nd of 2024, she launched her new show, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, a long-form interview series she'd been teasing for months. The premiere episode was the first time she'd spoken directly to fans since the slurring video, and people tuned in specifically to hear what she'd say. She didn't address the video by name, but she did say something that gave the internet exactly what it needed to keep talking. Describing her love of physical work around the house, she mentioned, almost offhandedly, that she'd had a couple of bad falls in recent weeks and hadn't been able to do as much manual labor as she normally would. She said nothing else about it. No details, no context, no clarification on whether the falls were connected to anything else. That one sentence, a couple of bad falls, became the new center of the conversation. Fans wondered if the falls explained the speech or if both were symptoms of something more serious. Speculation ranged from medication side effects to neurological concerns, and some people on social media went as far as consulting internet doctors who offered unofficial diagnoses in comment threads. None of it was confirmed. None of it was denied either. By May of 2025, Daily Mail reported that people close to Rachael were so concerned that she had shut people out and lives a very secluded life. The source described her inner circle as worried, a claim that only added fuel to months of existing rumors. Her team, once again, did not comment directly. Rachael herself had said something revealing in a December 2024 podcast episode. I never look at anything about myself on the internet. I'm afraid to, quite frankly. She also mentioned that at one point in her career, there had been an entire website dedicated to hating her, aptly titled, I Hate Rachael Ray. For someone who had spent nearly 2 decades as one of the most visible people on American daytime television, the decision to go quiet, truly quiet, was jarring enough on its own. What actually happened before all the rumors started? To understand why everything after 2023 felt so disorienting, you have to understand what the 2 years leading up to it looked like. By the time Rachael Ray ended her talk show, she had already lived through more personal upheaval in a short window of time than most people face in a decade. It started in May of 2020, when she and her husband, John Cusimano, lost their dog of 15 years, a pit bull named Isabu, who had been a regular presence on her show and on her social media. Less than 3 months later, on August 9th of 2020, their home in Lake Luzerne, New York, caught fire. Rachael, John, her mother Elsa, and their current dog Bella were all inside when a neighbor spotted the roof and alerted them. They got out safely. More than a dozen local fire departments responded, but only 2 could reach the house. It sat on a steep hill at the end of a private drive in the Adirondacks, about 60 miles north of Albany. The cause was later determined to be accidental. Creosote buildup in the chimney fireplace had ignited. What burned with it was 15 years of accumulated life. 40 years of notebooks she'd kept since childhood. Every piece of music John had written or collected. Letters and cards from her mother, who was going blind. Paintings made specifically for them. Things with no replacement value. "We lost a huge part of the physical evidence that we exist," she said later. The main house was leveled to the foundation. She and John finished out the season of her talk show from the neighboring guest house on the property, with John operating the camera himself. Then, in 2021, Hurricane Ida flooded her New York City apartment, an apartment she had just finished renovating. Every speaker in the ceiling, the fireplace, every seam in every wall. She described it as the apartment melting. She'd been through fires and floods within about a year of each other, on top of a global pandemic, on top of losing a dog who had been with her for 15 years. She kept filming her show through all of it. In 2023, she announced she was walking away. She framed it as a choice, which it was, but it was a choice made by someone who had been running at full speed through extraordinary personal loss for 3 straight years. She said her passions had evolved from the talk show format production and syndication model to a platform unencumbered by the traditional rules of distribution. Her final episode aired on May 24, 2023. Oprah sent a goodbye message. So did Cameron Diaz and 50 Cent. She'd done 2,000 episodes. She'd won the Outstanding Talk Show Emmy 3 times. And when the cameras stopped rolling that last day, almost 2 feet of snow had fallen in upstate New York. The internet went down, and she and John finished the taping alone. The news she broke about a close friend that shook her publicly. Rachael Ray doesn't show grief easily, or often in public, which is part of why what happened in June of 2025 cut through the noise in a way that very little else had. She broke her silence, genuinely, emotionally, and what she said made clear that the previous months of health speculation and tabloid rumors were not the most significant thing happening in her life. On June 17, 2025, chef and Food Network personality Anne Burrell was found unresponsive at her home in Brooklyn. She was 55 years old. Law enforcement responded to a 911 call about a reported cardiac arrest at around 7:50 in the morning. When officers from the 76th Precinct arrived, Burrell had already been pronounced dead on the scene. Her husband, Stuart Claxton, had last seen her alive around 1 in the morning. He discovered her hours later on the shower floor of their home. The next morning, Rachael posted on Instagram, and it was one of the most openly devastated things she'd written publicly in years. "The news about Anne has truly shaken us," she wrote. "John and I are heartbroken. I can't quite believe it. Such a strong, vibrant, fearless woman, so full of life and love, could be gone so soon." What most people watching from the outside didn't know was how deep that friendship actually ran. The two had co-hosted multiple seasons of Worst Cooks in America together on Food Network. But it had become something far more personal than a work relationship. Anne had asked Rachael to be a bridesmaid at her wedding to Stuart in 2021, something Rachael said she'd only done once before, for her own sister. Rachael had hosted Anne's bachelorette trip through Europe, with the women traveling through Spain and Rome before ending up at Rachael's home in Tuscany. And just 6 months before Burrell's death, she had appeared as a guest on Rachael's podcast, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. In that December 2024 episode, they talked about the wedding and about what it had meant to be asked to be part of it. Rachael said, "The only person who ever asked me to be in their wedding other than my family member was you. It made me burst into tears." The episode aired, the weeks passed, and then Anne was gone. In her tribute post, Rachael wrote that she would never forget arriving at their shared dressing room at the Food Network studios early in the mornings and hearing Anne blasting music down the hallway. Anne had great taste in music and in life. She was a force in the kitchen, in any room, in every life she touched. She ended it. "We've lost someone truly special." Anne Burrell had hosted Worst Cooks in America for 27 seasons. The Food Network world responded collectively. Bobby Flay, Guy Fieri, and dozens of others posted tributes. But Rachael's stood out because of the personal detail in it, and because it was one of the few moments in an otherwise very private stretch of years where she had spoken with complete openness about something that mattered to her. What she quietly built while everyone was speculating about her. Here is the part of the Rachael Ray story that got almost no attention while the health rumors were running hot. She was working. A lot. And the scale of what she was actually building in the background is what makes the narrative of her disappearance so misleading. When she left the talk show in 2023, she simultaneously launched Free Food Studios, a production company formed with her longtime collaborators Brian Flanagan, Anthony Amoya, and Sean Lee. The premise was simple. Instead of working within someone else's distribution model, she would own the content. She would develop it, produce it, control it, and sell it. She wrote 80 pages of recipes and production notes in 3 days for one of the first major projects. Then, in January of 2024, A&E Networks came in. They acquired a 50% stake in Free Food Studios and, as part of that deal, ordered 278 episodes of programming across various culinary series. That number is not a typo. 278 episodes to air on A&E and FYI as part of A+E's home. Made.Nation Lifestyle Block. Some of those shows would feature Rachael directly. Others would feature the culinary talent she was developing through the company. The deal was structured as a joint venture, not a licensing arrangement, meaning Rachael owned part of what she was making, rather than simply showing up to host for a fee. The content that went to air included Rachael Ray's Meals in Minutes and Rachael Ray in Tuscany, both on FYW, the latter filmed at her villa in Sartiano, Italy. She also produced Rachael Ray's Rebuild for Hulu, a show in which she helped families rebuild homes damaged by disasters, drawing directly on her own experience after the 2020 house fire. And in December of 2024, A+E aired Rachael Ray's Holidays as a seasonal special. Then, in October of 2025, A+E expanded the deal again. A new order of 110 additional episodes was announced, with production set to begin in the fall, and the episodes slated to air on A&E and FYI in 2026. The cumulative output from this partnership was now approaching 400 episodes across a 2-year period. The woman that some corners of the internet had been describing as having gone into hiding had, by any reasonable measure, been one of the most prolific producers of food television content on cable during the same stretch of time. She was also living between 2 countries. Since leaving the daily grind of a syndicated show, Rachael had split her time between her rebuilt home in Lake Luzerne, New York, and her property in Tuscany. Her husband, John, she said, prefers New York City. "My husband loves being in New York," she told one outlet. "I tell him, hey, go as often as you like. Stay as long as you want." The line got a laugh. But it also pointed to something she's been more open about in recent years. The marriage has its own rhythms, and screaming matches are part of how it works. "Quiet people freak me out," she said. They've been together since 2005. The actual breaking news. And why it matters more than the rumors. The title of this video promises breaking news. Here it is, and it lands differently once you know everything that came before it. In October of 2025, Rachael Ray appeared publicly in New York City for the first time in a while. She co-hosted the Blue Moon Burger Bash 2.0 at the New York City Wine and Food Festival with Brooklyn Beckham, then appeared on the Drew Barrymore Show to cook alongside the host. Both were visible, energetic outings that directly contradicted the image that had been building online of someone in steep decline. At the Wine and Food Festival, she spoke to People magazine about her podcast, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, which had gone silent after its 8th episode in December of 2024. Fans had been wondering about it for months. She told them exactly what was happening. She was frustrated too. "I beat all of my team up about it all the time," she said. "I've already done several episodes that haven't been released yet. The challenge is waiting for their asses to put it on air." She added, "I'm pissed at how long it takes them to put it up." Her producers confirmed a holiday break had caused the delay and that new episodes were coming. Whether the podcast will continue as a regular series or remains on indefinite pause as of the time of this video is still something she's described as undecided, given her workload with Free Food Studios. And then there's the question, the topic of this video is really built around the news that's not good. There are actually 2 layers to it, and neither is what the rumors suggested. The first is personal. Rachael has spent the past 2+ years living through a quiet but significant accumulation of loss. The house fire, the flood, the departure from a show that defined 2 decades of her professional life, and then the sudden death of one of her closest friends. She has managed all of it largely in private, in a way that the internet has consistently misread as either illness, scandal, or both. The truth is messier and more human than either. The second layer is professional, and it's the one that actually qualifies as breaking news. In the same month that A+E expanded her deal to 110 new episodes, a separate story broke that most people following Rachael Ray missed entirely. A+E Global Media, the parent company of the network she'd bet her post-talk show career on, was reported by Variety to be up for sale. Disney and Hearst, the 2 companies that jointly own A+E, had quietly begun testing buyer demand for the entire entity, which includes A&E, Lifetime, and History. If that sale goes through with the wrong buyer, or if it results in a restructuring that deprioritizes lifestyle programming on FYI and A+E, the entire infrastructure that Rachael has spent 2 years building her comeback on could change underneath her overnight. She owns 50% of Free Food Studios, which is a joint venture with A+E. Any ownership change at A+E is therefore directly her business. She hasn't commented on the A+E sales situation publicly, whether that's because she's confident in her contract structure, because negotiations are ongoing, or because she genuinely doesn't know what it means yet is unclear. What is clear is that the business she built specifically to give herself independence, to own her content, to escape the traditional distribution model, is now tied to a company that may be changing hands. The irony is real. She left the talk show to have more control. She built a production company to own what she made. She signed a deal that gave her 2 years of pipeline and an expanded order that stretches into 2026. And the network underpinning all of it, is now in play on the open market. Rachael Ray is not disappearing. She's not in hiding. She's not sick in the way the internet decided she was. But she is in the middle of something legitimately uncertain. And this time, unlike the house fire and the flood and the loss of her friend, it's not something she can rebuild with her own hands. What are your thoughts about this? Share with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. For more interesting stories like this, be sure to click on the next video that pops up on your screen. You never know what you'll discover next.